Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Dishonored on Xbox 360. In the pantheon of games, Thief and Metal Gear Solid are said to be the progenitors of the stealth action genre, and I would most certainly add Tenchu Stealth Assassins to that list. But today, we will discuss the direct descendant of those games. Today we will showcase 2012's Dishonored. Dishonored is another example of the genre mashup. The aesthetic and design are very reminiscent of Victorian England, on purpose, and the characters are drawn and animated similar to, say, the art style of Team Fortress 2, only with more detail and taken more seriously. But the world is a semi-dystopian steampunk fantasy landscape that only has the barest resemblance to the real world or real-world tech. This is a world where magic does exist, but it is dying out, and the technology might as well be magic, or at least magic-based science. You step into the first-person, midnight black, soft-soled shoes of one Corvo, master spy and assassin in the service of Empress Jessamine Colwyn, a woman who is not only the leader of the city of Dunwall, where the action takes place, but of all the Isles, a group of vaguely confederate island nations. It's pretty quickly hinted that Corvo may be more than just the Empress's right-hand murderer, but in a world of political intrigue, such things must be pushed aside. The game begins with Corvo returning from a more diplomatic mission, seeking aid from a foreign land to help with the plague that is killing Dunwall, a plague which seems to be born of rabid rats within the city that turns the sufferer into a type of zombie and has emptied out entire districts despite, or perhaps because of, a lethally enforced quarantine. As Corvo is delivering his message, the world wibbles around both he and the Empress, and Corvo has bare seconds to react as a different brand of assassins, each armed with magic that manipulates both time and invisibility, swarm the pair of them, seeking their target, the life of the Empress. Before Corvo can intervene, the Empress is run through and dying, her last words to Corvo being to protect her daughter Emily. That's when the rest of the court shows up, the Empress's advisor, general, religious official, and the guards, who immediately and without any evidence declare Corvo the assassin, and he is to be executed within the week, and then knock him out. Corvo awakens in jail, where he is visited by a person with solid black eyes. This being is the Outsider, a minor god who may have ties to the very whales that are being butchered to collect their oil and fat that is fueling the steampunk age. The Outsider is willing to give Corvo the very magic the other assassins had, provided he pledges loyalty to the Outsider, or he can die in prison. And the Outsider knows the predicament Corvo is in was a setup. Corvo accepts and must quickly sneak out of the jail, using his assassin skills to knock out or kill the guards as the player chooses. Once free in the city, he meets with a small group of conspirators called the Loyalists, folk loyal to the Empress, who was legitimately a good person trying to improve life for his citizens. The Loyalists supply Corvo with two special items, his folding blade and his iron skull mask, which became the icon of the game. Whatever else he needs, Corvo must find along the way. It turns out that yes, the Empress's murder was a Dunwall-spanning conspiracy between the church, military, and upper classes, as well as a few others. And it is Corvo's job to kill them all in an orgy of revenge. He joins the fraternity of stealth protagonists who are complete badasses, provided they stick to the shadows. Otherwise, they have the lifespan of fine crystal that's about to be dropped off the Empire State Building. It is critical the players stick to the shadows, hide behind large objects, sneak through vents and sewers, or leap from rooftop to rooftop while backstabbing every cop, thug, and soldier in the city. Corvo has the option to either knock enemies out or kill them, and he must choose the quiet method or the loud method to do so. The quiet method is knock out darts from his crossbow, headlocks, or magic skills. The loud method is the firearms and bombs he finds, which will also mean you'll have to fight your way out like a master fencer in the middle of a gunfight to get out of trouble if you go that route. Also, those weapons are useless against the walking tanks and electrical fields that can be found in use all over the city. The choice of method for overcoming enemies has a second mechanic behind it. Your actions are not listed as good or evil, as Dishonored is a grim dark world where morality is meaningless, but instead as high or low chaos. What this means for players is how much the rat plague they will have to deal with. High chaos means the plague worsens and how many zombies you have to deal with increases, and low chaos causes the plague to recede a bit. How you want to play a game like that is up to you, and I mean that quite literally. There are multiple methods of approach to any mission, whether you use magic, stealth, staying above the action or under it, or combat if you are fast and hit hard enough. You even have the choice to kill your major targets or let them go with public humiliation, which in Dunwall society is as good as killing them. The developers, Arcane Studios, at the time of release were a subsidiary of our friends Bethesda Game Studios, put quite a lot of thought into how the player could accomplish the listed 12 missions of the game, mostly assuming they would use a balance of stealth, magic, and extreme violence. But they did try to make sure just about any playstyle is accommodated, except the no magic run, as you literally need to cast a teleport spell to complete the final mission. Yes, I did see a Let's Player attempt a no magic run, and they could not finish the game without casting magic. You can plan for a lot as a developer, but not everything, I guess. As Corvo progresses through the story, he rescues the Empress's daughter, Emily, and if you search for enough information, you will discover that Corvo is Emily's father. That's right, suspicions confirmed. Corvo was closer to the Empress than anyone realized. And he eventually confronts and defeats the Emperor's assassin, Dowd, who is another follower of the Outsider, which explains his abilities, but who confesses that he was hired by one of the very loyalists Corvo is still working with, and that the rat plague is not in Dunwall by accident, but instead was brought to help weaken the former Empress's power base. How the game ends is up to you as well, with 3 possible endings based on how high or how low your chaos score is, or if you were able to save Emily. Dishonored almost requires multiple playthroughs, as it is not possible to see everything on the first try. The design of the world is so utterly unique, loaded with atmosphere and small touches, that give the world the very verisimilitude it needs to pull off its dark fantasy premise. While you can certainly juxtapose a world where stilt-walking, lightning-shooting mechs and cable cars are common alongside magic and necromancy, set in a pseudo-late 19th century mock world, without the small touches and connective tissue, it falls apart. The guards Corvo meets are grounded, workaday men, interested in going for whiskey and cigars after their shifts, and holy fuck, you'll hear that line so often you'll wish they were just complaining about arrows to the knee. The people of Dunwall are trying to go about their lives, working the docks and distillery, selling goods and fruit, worried about the rat plague while a masked killer stands awkwardly in their midst. Buildings where lives are lived, trashy novels can be discovered to read. All of these things are that very connective tissue that helps keep the otherworldly, dark set pieces together in this game. Dishonored is also another game where the Hollywood voice talent came out in droves to voice characters. Somehow, and as I've said before, I don't know how, Todd Howard must have made a deal with Satan to get a crack at getting the cream of the Screen Actors Guild crop to do voice work for them. Michael Madsen, Susan Sarandon, Brad Dourif, I see you, Brad, back from the gun review for another round, and the late Carrie Fisher are among the voice cast that supplied life to the city of Dunwall and the Dishonored setting. But for as amazing as Dishonored is, we have seen this before. As I said at the start, Dishonored is a direct descendant of the Thief series of games, specifically Thief 2: The Metal Age, which also took place in a first-person world of grimdark steampunk back in the year 2000. Except in that game, your character was out for all the gold they could get, not revenge. This is not a bad thing. As they say, good artists borrow, but great artists steal. And Dishonored rips off Thief 2 wholesale. And holy shit, were the critics all over the place with reviewing this game. Yes, many outlets did give it a lot of positive reviews, enough to earn it a Game of the Year nomination at most every critical outlet. But the plot really polarized people, stating it was everything from a quote-unquote thinking man's game to it being criticized for generic missions in a dark fantasy machines and lightning fuck world, and having quote-unquote late narrative missteps. Yikes. This is, again, a time where you really have to think it's more about the critics and their diatribes in the game itself, and who you personally agree with. I agree with none of them, but that's a different matter. I think Dishonored is amazing, from the art style to the setting, to the sandbox approach to stealth gameplay missions, to the mix-up of steampunk dark fantasy, late 1800s style, even the can see it coming from a mile away late game twist. This is a game made for me. Yes, it's trashy. Yes, it's goofy. Yes, it's a wild ride through the most fringe and sometimes cringe of subgenres. But so what? It is still an amazing time, and it garnered enough success to earn a sequel game. A game I bought and played for maybe the first half hour several years ago and just stopped, and I never went back to it. That seems to be the same approach the developers took, as we have heard nothing more from this franchise since. Perhaps the story has been told and there's no more to tell. Perhaps one day I'll find out for myself. For us, though, the mystery that was Dishonored was thoroughly unmasked, like its protagonist, and revealed a wild, wonderful world chock full of things to explore and little set pieces to uncover, a trademark of Arcane's parent company, Bethesda. Although in this case the game never froze or crashed or had any other bizarre engine hiccups for me, so maybe they knew a secret that their parent company doesn't. It absolutely earned its time on the Xbox 360, and its place in the lofty pantheon of stealth games. Well, a dirty, rat-infested demigod of that pantheon anyway. Happens that way with gods sometimes. Thank you for listening.